Case is recognized. Mr. Case.
Thank you. I rise to express my deep disappointment that an often promising and even optimistic bill has this year succumbed to fatal flaws, driven by partisan posturing and representing outdated and even dangerous positions undermining our indispensable, unavoidable world leadership role. The increases in funding and engagement in the Indo-Pacific generally and the Pacific Islands specifically deserve our support, but they are countered by deliberate underfunding of foreign assistance overall and the outright elimination of support for institutions that underpin the international rules-based order. Most egregiously, this unfortunate proposal slashes funding for development assistance, international disaster assistance, economic support to other nations, and for contributions to linchpin international organizations like the United Nations. The bill offers up an 82% cut. Really? Does anyone seriously think that our country has been the leader of our world for 3+ generations on the base of military might alone? Does anyone seriously think that we will meet the geopolitical challenge of China, of poverty, hunger, environmental change, and more without a strong non-military presence? Does anyone seriously doubt that our competitors would love to engage us in a foreign policy competition that is purely selfish, transactional, and valueless? And yet to read this bill, and make no mistake, the world is reading this bill and listening, one would have to conclude that we are undertaking a sea change back to an isolationist, yes, isolationist, Darwinian, stark view of this world. And let's just take two bedrock institutions that we have supported through good times and bad. The United Nations, whose regular budget we would not fund at all under this proposal, and the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, which would receive a crippling cut. Now, I understand deep concerns with the United Nations. I understand a need to improve oversight and results of U.S. assistance programs. But defunding the United Nations and gutting these international programs is not a reasoned, responsible policy. It is not about the budget. It is anger and spite, representing an astonishingly obtuse and outright dangerous perspective. You may feel better, but you have not contributed to a solution. The UN is not just about votes in General Assembly. It is also about 28 separate lines of international effort, which in conjunction with our own bilateral assistance through USAID and other donor country efforts, are tackling our world's toughest challenges. I recently joined colleagues in Tanzania to understand and observe firsthand this work of the United Nations. Tanzania is an incredible country, a democracy of great need and great opportunity. Not coincidentally, it lies in the crosshairs of the geopolitical challenge of our times, China. Tanzania's future and that of much of Africa turns on whether we meet those needs, advance those opportunities, and counter those challenges with an all-government, all-world approach. The front lines of these concerns are there in communities like rural Iringa, where we joined a UN quarterly district health assessment gathered where UN representatives worked alongside USAID, Tanzanian community leaders, health workers, and government personnel to address real-world challenges on health, nutrition, education, and economic advancement. Defunding these real-world efforts, as this proposal would do, undermines our progress, our reputation, our moral authority. It is not just an abdication of our duty as international leaders, it also subverts our own strategic interests and widens the path for others. Our enemies are more than happy to fill the void. We cannot forget that our own security depends not just on military might, but on the strength of our partnerships and the stability and prosperity of our international community. This particular proposal, on balance, is an unfortunate boon to those who would seek to undermine the United States' position in the world. I sincerely hope it proves to be just a blowing off steam exercise rather than any attempt at reasonable policy. I yield back.